find it. Yeah, right here. Hold on, guys. Hold on. So this is the report. Let me move that out the way. Put myself down there so y'all can see me, so we can be professional over here. Jury begins deliberation in murder for hire trial of Sweetie Pie star Tim Norman. That's an old picture. That's 2011. That's the first season. That's when he met Terica. Okay? And Timmy was not born. So he wants to portray himself as a loving father. You've been a cheating father ever since the day you got into a relationship. St. Louis jurors in the murder for hire trial of former reality TV star James Tim Norman had heard dramatically different closing arguments before they began to deliberate before noon on Wednesday. I know we talked about this earlier, but I just want to hear it again. Norman, 43, is accused of orchestrating the 2016 murder of his 21-year-old nephew, Andre Montgomery, and then attempting to cash out that $450,000 fraudulent policy. He faces 2 federal info-hire counts and 1 count of conspiracy to commit fraud. Yes, he does. Norman and his nephew starred in the Welcome to Sweetie Pie's, a long-running own reality show that the popular soul food business Robbie Montgomery, Norman's mother and Andre's grandmother, founded in the St. Louis area. The mother and the grandmother of the 2 main characters. AUSA Angie Dennis said in her closing argument for the prosecution that Norman initiated the plot to pay his nephew in hopes of that big payout. He needed that money. Not only did he know he was the architect of this plan, Dennis said, this plan doesn't exist but for Tim Norman's greed. I missed that part earlier. Angie says it only exists because of his greed. Why is that? That's what happens when you use it. Okay. Norman's defense attorney, Michael Leonard, responded in closing arguments that the implot presented by prosecutors was a made-up theory. So he's saying, as I like to say, it's an illusion. It's all an illusion. Okay, people will it's an illusion. YouTube is an illusion. Okay, you can't reach out and really touch somebody. It's an illusion. Mr. Leonard, sorry to say, this is not an illusion. It's not a theory. It really did happen. Okay. He said it's a made-up theory. He says the picture from everyone in this case was that he was a man of character, Leonard said. So he's saying Tim was a man of character. Prosecutors argued the day of the shooting, Norman paid $10,000 to an exotic dancer, Terica Ellis, to track his nephew's location. They accused Norman of then using a friend to pay $5,000 to the shooter, Trayvell Anthony Hill, after he K. Montgomery. Both Ellis and Hill testified for the prosecution. The defendant saw his opportunity to cash in and he tried, Danis argued. He had his own nephew executed. Look at that. Look what Dana said. AUSA Danis said he had his own nephew executed. Can you imagine her in closing arguments walking by? She's walking by the jurors. They're all seated. They're all 12 of them, 2 rows. And she's looking at them. She probably puts her hand on the rail and she looks at them and says, he had his own nephew executed. You can't believe a word he says. And they're looking at her. They're thinking. They're pondering. Yes, they are. And now they're deliberating. She said, Norman made the rare decision for a criminal defendant. Norman made the rare decision for a criminal defendant to take the stand in his own defense in the final days of testimony. This is what they're saying. He told the jury he asked Hill and Ellis to find and confront his nephew about a recent burglary at his mother's home, but said he never paid them or asked them to hurt his nephew. Now, do we believe that? Do we believe that Tim never asked them? Tim would never. Does Tim ever lose his cool? I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? He told the jury he asked Ellis and Hill to find and confront his nephew about a recent burglary at his mother's home, but said he never paid them or asked them to hurt his nephew. About the burglary at the home, there's a report, and we read it. He took the lie detector test. As I said earlier, Andre made a calculated decision to come back to St. Louis and take that lie detector test. He did not want to come. We read his own words saying he didn't want to come because he was afraid of Tim. He was afraid of this man right here. And if I was a juror, I think that, yeah, they saw I don't know if they saw those text messages. Someone said that they may not have. I think they did because that was in a court document. I don't see why they wouldn't know about those text messages. I don't see why they wouldn't know. But he made a calculated decision to go back to St. Louis because he loved music. And as you all know, that night he was at 3964 making music. Okay, he was making music. As one of those aunts said, I don't know if it was Jan or what's her name, Linda, which one of them, that really, I think it was Monique's mama said that he was making music. Yes, he was making music, but he sure didn't want to come back to St. Louis. Oh my goodness. In his own words, we saw him saying he didn't want to come back, but he did it out of love. He went back to St. Louis out of love, people. When it all said and done, he went back to St. Louis out of love and dedication. He went back to St. Louis out of love and dedication, okay? His life is taken because he had love and dedication. That's why he's not here. All right. He asked them to find. Why would he ask Tre'Vell, who didn't even recognize, from his own words, he said he didn't even recognize him. He had to stop him and ask him about marijuana just to make sure that was Dre. So how was he going to be asking him about some money or whatever at 8:02 p.m. when he had a weapon in his pocket? That doesn't make sense. He testified that about 18 months before the K of his nephew, he brought Montgomery to St. Louis, paid his rent, and enrolled him in music school. He said he then cut him off financially after Montgomery stopped going to work and school. The defense called former Sweetie Pie's employees and other character witnesses who said Norman and his nephew were close. Leonard questioned the credibility of the testimony from Norman's alleged co-conspirators and argued Ellis felt compelled to testify to get a shorter sentence. So they're saying Terica only testified because she wanted a shorter sentence. In making life's most important decisions, he's asking the jurors, would you make that based upon a stripper who said she looked in your face and lied to you, Leonard said. He also emphasized that the shooter, Hill, who prosecutors call Norman's hired gun, said, nobody else should be responsible for my actions but me. I looked up to Tim as a mentor. Hill testified that he bought a G and K Montgomery after he was told by a mutual acquaintance that Norman would pay him to have his nephew executed. That mutual acquaintance is No Limit Chris. Some of y'all call him White Boy Chris. No Limit Big Boy Chris. Used to be on the yard with Tim playing basketball and doing things. You know what I'm saying? We found that out from Lavelle a couple of months ago. Okay. Let me move this out the way. Hill said he was paid $5,000 after the K by another man. Daryl Howard, who testified he made the payment at Norman's direction. Now, Daryl Howard, DJ Beats, was given a invitation to go to the Chase Park Plaza after Tim and Terica did the nasty. So him and his girlfriend went. Then there was $5,000 in the drawer. He got the money. He took a picture of it. And he said when he found out about Dre, initially he said to Tim, sorry about your loss or whatever. And Tim said, F that ninja. That's what DJ Beats said. Those are not my words. Okay, court documents say that's what he said. So can't say anything to me. Get the prosecutors. Leonard emphasized that Hill testified he was a heavy drug user at the time and hopped up on drugs that day. I mean, he was high. That's the level of credibility. He's saying that's the level of credibility of their star witnesses, Leonard said, pointing to the prosecutors. In her rebuttal, though, here comes Prosecutor Dennis. She told the jurors not to trust Norman's testimony. The defendant sat up there for 4 hours and spun tales because that's what he does. Dennis said, there's about 45 reasons why you can't trust a word Norman said. She said, there's 45 reasons why you can't trust a word this man says. You know why? Because he was a script writer. He wrote scripts for Welcome to Sweetie Pies. It was all an illusion. Sweetie Pies was an illusion, is what the prosecutor says. Not my words. She says, Dennis emphasized that all the testimony from alleged co-conspirators was backed up in trial by text messages, call records, and location data. Okay, everything they said they could match it up. If they say Terica was here, they could match it up. Her phone said she was here. Tim was there. Trayvell was there. Their text messages, where are you at? Do this, do that. Throw your phone away. They got all of that. Then she says, he scripted a show to portray an image of wealth and success that wasn't real. Dennis said, she said, he scripted a show to portray an image of wealth and success that wasn't real, Dennis said. She said Norman in trial he had an illusion of an image of being a mentor and a father figure to all these people. But it was fiction because he never had that in life, so he says. Those are his words from the show. Says he never had that in life. Said there were no men around to help him and the young men and the family grow. Those are Tim's words. You can run the tapes back on Sweetie Pies and see. So he created an illusion that he would be the mentor and the father figure to all the young boys in the neighborhood. Take them to Disneyland. No, not Disneyland. Wherever he said he took them to. Him and Big Ed and Bruce. He was really, Lavelle said he took up a lot of acting classes. And even on the show, he was in place. Remember, he hired that girl, and Janae came to the restaurant when she was pregnant, and she said, oh, I met Tim. We was acting, and he had his shirt off the whole time. They was acting. Tim was an actor. He's a good actor. We must confess, Tim is a good actor. If he's nothing else, he's a good actor. He knows how to start crying at the drop of a dime. He scripted a show to portray an image of wealth and success that wasn't real, Dennis said. She said Norman in trial created an image of being a mentor and a father figure to all these people, but it's fiction. It's an illusion. It's not real. Okay? And there he is. And there he is. I wonder how he's looking now because I haven't been able to see him. And that was that, I do believe. Yeah, that was that, I believe. Hold on. No comments. No one has left any comments. Yes. This is him when he was initially arrested for taking his nephew's life. You'd think he would have been crying like he was doing on the show, but he was smiling. He had a big smile on his face. Oh, it ain't no fun when the rabbit had a gun. It took a long time. Justice is slow, but it is certain. We have been saying justice for Dre for so long, and now his mother is finally, I believe she's finally going to get justice. I truly do believe there will be justice for Miss Michelle Griggs as her and her family sit in St. Louis right now, awaiting that jury to come back and say, "We, the jury, Your Honor, find the defendant guilty on all counts." Okay? We don't know what they're going to say, but I'm just speculating. All right? I'm just giving commentary because we're under a verdict watch. We're waiting. This young man who wanted to make music and had a nice voice. He had a nice little voice. There was oh my goodness, a song he did, him and Charles. Let me see if I can locate it. Hold on, let me see if I can find it, y'all. I did find it, so hold on. So what I'm going to do is, let me see if I can get this. Come over here. Stop sharing. Let me see if I can find what I just pulled up. No, that's not it. My. Got so much open over here. Okay, this is it right here. Okay. Listen to his voice.
They say I'm crazy, 'cause you don't think I know what you've done. When you call me baby, I know I'm not the only one. He knows he's not the only one. I'm not the only one. He knows he's not the only one. I'm not the only one.
Same Dre.
Good. Noah. Cause she been a thought she was little. I love that thought. She been a thought she was little. Love that thought. She been a thought she was little. I love that thought. I said that da. She been a thought she was little. I love that thought. She been a thought she was little. I love that thought. She been a thought she was little. I say ba da ba ba ba. I love that thought. Oh shit.
Dre say he loved that thought. Dre say she been a thought since she was little, but he loved that thought. But you could hear in his voice, and with the right training, more training, because he just had it natural. His grandmother and his grandfather were excellent singers. Pull up some old music by Art Lassiter. Art Lassiter could sing. That original song that was written for him by Ike. Not What's Love Got to Do with It, the other one. The one that they first, it wasn't What's Love Got to Do with It. The first song, the first hit. It was written for Art Lassiter. And there was interviews where it's been confirmed that it was written for him, but he didn't show up. They had a disagreement about money or something. So Art could sing. And Dre looked a lot like his grandfather, his paternal grandfather. It is what it is. Okay. So is y'all telling me the jury got this case already? Yes, Howard, the jury is deliberating. Dinner may have been ordered for the jury. Let me make sure nothing has been updated over here on one of these Twitter accounts. Let me see what's going on. Let me make sure there hasn't been anything new. The jury 2 hours ago. Yeah, wait a minute. Let me go to this one over here because sometimes one might report something that the other one hasn't reported yet. So let me just check. We're on jury watch. The jury has asked for more exhibits, including text messages. This was an hour ago. It is expected for the judge to ask the jury at 5 p.m. if they want dinner. My clock is 6 o'clock here, so St. Louis time is 7 o'clock. I'm sure they ate dinner and they are still deliberating. They are trying to find justice for Dre. Right now, some people have already decided guilty. I'm going to tell you that right now. Some people have already decided guilty. Hold on, y'all. No, they're still deliberating, ma'am.
Oh, I hate them.
We're having it's jury watch. This is a jury watch. They're still deliberating.
You just said that. I just heard you lied.
Okay.
Okay. All right, I'm watching. Keep up the good work here.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
And know that God is in control.
Always.
All right.
Willie Banks and the messages. Okay. Bye-bye.
All right.
Yes. So I am telling you, Howard, the jury has the case. And if you don't believe, you might not want to believe me. So let me show you somebody else. Let me show you something. Hold on. Let me show you this right here. You might believe them. You see that right there, Howard? Let me blow it up for you a little bit more. There you go. Looks a little bit better. All right. As of 4 p.m., the jury has asked for more exhibits, including text messages. It is expected for the judge to ask the jury at 5 p.m. if they want dinner. Now, I'm sure if he had let them go, she would have followed up with another text. And I don't see it. Oh, wait a minute, 9 minutes. Just then, we're told the jury for Tim Norman trial is going home for the night, and deliberations will continue at 8:45 a.m. tomorrow morning. Okay, guys, they couldn't all reach a decision today. They're going home, guys. 9 minutes ago. Come on, Justina, girl, you own it. The jury, Tim Norman's trial, they're going home for the night, and deliberations will continue in the morning at 8:45. Well, guys, jury watch will continue tomorrow. They may reach a verdict while I'm at work tomorrow. Just know that we want justice either way it goes. Hello, caller.
Hi, this is Duana. In Indiana.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm looking. I can't believe the jury is going home for the night. Even Ray Charles to see that he's guilty.
Well, ma'am, they're gonna do their due diligence, and you might look. There's some people that you've got sometimes in a jury. They all. Can you turn your TV down in the back? They all have
to turn down.
They all have to come together and agree. This is a federal. This is a criminal case. They all have to agree, guilty or not guilty. And somebody is probably saying, "Well, he didn't really give him the $5,000. So if he didn't give him the $5,000, I mean, he didn't do it. He said that he gave that girl that $10,000 because he liked her cootie pop. He said he bought those.
Ain't no cootie that good.
He said he bought those.
Lord.
He said he bought those phones because he didn't want that woman calling in his house in the middle of the night because he was with his girlfriend and they just had a new baby. You know, and all men cheat. Men cheat.
No,
not all men. I mean, I'm not all men don't cheat.
I think that they're doing it just to get rating and interest and stuff. I really believe in that heart. They know he's guilty, but because of who his mother is and stuff.
Well, no. Or they just don't want to make it appear as though they just rushed through and they didn't give it the due diligence. So the verdict will be guilty.
Yeah.
You can mark my words. You can mark my words. Right. You can say Phylly told you it's gonna be guilty. Period.
Praise God.
We've seen the evidence. We've seen all the evidence. You guys are jurors yourselves. You've seen the evidence,
right.
Okay?
Right. And he's an actor, and he rewrote the script while he's sitting in jail. You know, what he gonna say, when he gonna say.
The prosecutor...
I'm really confused, but regardless, Ms. Robin would say that he...
Well, wait a minute, honey. Well, no. I'm doing fine. What would you like to say?
You know, I'm going to say something that I think a lot of people probably don't want to hear, but I'm going to play a little bit of devil's advocate.
All right, go ahead.
So the fact that the jury is asking for this evidence, what I'm kind of thinking is, this is just my opinion, that Terica and Phyl, to me, their testimonies didn't do, I think, what the prosecutor thought it would do. Because they pleaded guilty, I would presume that because they pleaded guilty, that they would say that there would be some conversation between Tim. And both of them didn't say that. And that was huge that both of them didn't say it. So what benefited them in turn ended up benefiting Tim because they didn't have that direct conversation. Now, I'm not sure. One of the things I also wanted to know, and I don't know if you have that information, when Andre was shot, did they ping Tim's phone? And when did they? I know they pinged it at Walgreens with Terica.
Okay.
But when did they ping his phone?
It's my understanding. Okay. It's my understanding that he was in the vicinity, in the area of the crime, because that's in court documents. And he said he was there. He didn't hide his face. He wasn't covering up his face because he always went in the neighborhood because he liked to help the young kids, the young boys of the neighborhood, and help them to become good men. And they would take them to Six Flags or somewhere. And he just wanted them to know that they could make it by frying chicken and not doing things such as, selling drugs and doing things like that. So he was in the area. He was somewhere. I don't know where he was, but he was somewhere.
Yeah, and well, I know that he left to go back to LA. So I was just curious, it was just a small curiosity.
He left after he saw that his plot had been followed through and that his nephew had been executed. That's when he left.
Gotcha. So one of the things that we know that the jury, to me, they are now focusing solely on Tim's mistakes. All the things, all the conversations, all the things that Tim literally said, because I don't think that they're leaning too much to the witnesses at this point. Because they weren't, I think a lot of people did a lot of lie with a lot of truth, with a little bit of truth. I think they all did that, including Tim. So to me, that's what they are looking at. And if I was a juror, I would be looking into that as well. They created enough doubt during, to me, the couple of days. Well, first of all, no one expected Tim.
Well, you know what, ma'am? Listen, he told them, he said he wasn't, there's messages and stuff and text messages where he told his lawyer, and that's what they asked for, those text messages from his lawyer. They wanted to see those text messages, listen, where he told his lawyer, I was in California. Your flight records show, Tim, that clearly you were in St. Louis. You hopped on a red eye and you went to the STL and you got a room in your name and you went to the Chase Park Plaza, and then you caught a plane back to Cali. And so those jurors are going to say he lied. If he lies about this, what else would he lie about? Because if I was a juror, I would say he lied about this. He was there.
Right.
And that's going to seal the deal. Mark my words.
But he also proved too that him going, tell me if I'm wrong, I'm just trying to make sure I have all the facts when I say what I say. But I believe he also proved that him being in St. Louis, because I heard that he went to about 3 restaurants for deposit drops. So they do have him. They do have a deposit slip. So he was also doing that as well. Just because I'm saying what I'm saying doesn't mean that I'm trying to negate Tim's guilt. I'm just coming up with reasons. If I was a juror, I served a couple of times, that is making them go, okay, let's pull this record, let's pull that record. At the bottom line, I do think that Tim, did orchestrate it. But at the same time, a lot of us kind of seen the revolution of, the evolution of Sweetie Pie, seeing his reaction. These are people that supposedly know nothing about him. So I can definitely see why they're asking for records. And I do think that Tim, because usually, the defense doesn't take the witness stand. So when he did, I was like, oh, wow, I got my popcorn, because I wanted to hear what, the YouTubers were going to say he said. And
well,
by him,
I don't mean to cut you off, but I think what you just said, that that the jurors may be, having second thoughts or whatever based on some of his testimony. But if I was a juror, and what some of those jurors are going to do that are dead set on guilty, and they've got to flip the other jurors, because and jurors can be flipped. You can flip them. I've been there, and we flipped some jurors who were saying not guilty. They're going to say, okay, look what he told his attorney. Black and white. I was not there. I was in California. But your butt was running all over St. Louis. Yes, sure, he was running all over St. Louis, and there's proof. You had and you had a hotel room. You met with Terica. So the thing is, why would he lie? Why would you say you were not there? Why would you lie? So if he lies about that, what else will he lie about? That's going to get him. I'm telling you, those jurors are not stupid, and they're not stupid. They're not stupid. And they also, and another thing, when he got on that stand, they didn't know about his previous record, him robbing McDonald's on a bicycle and serving 10 years in prison. Now they know, because the prosecutor was able to bring it out, because he took the stand on his own behalf. That's why his attorneys tried to talk him out of it, and he was going to fire them. And they said, well, since they're professional attorneys, they said, okay, we're going to do it. And they probably came up with a strategy. This is what you're going to do. They talked it over. They coached him.
So we're not disagreeing. Everything that you're saying, I agree with. I'm just saying that a little bit of reasonable doubt. That's why they're probably asking.
To me, when I see that, there would be no reasonable doubt.
Tim mentioned, everything that Tim said is going to hurt Tim.
He's an illusionist. He's an illusionist. He's an illusionist. He's an illusionist, and Dre will get justice. He's an illusionist.
Yeah.
And I would tell the jurors, I would say to my fellow jurors, he is an illusionist. He wrote the script. I would say he wrote the initial script for Sweetie Pies. He wrote that script. He knows how to, as Angie said, he created a fantasy of wealth, of success, of a great father, a great uncle who loved his dead brother's son so much that he orchestrated an execution on that son.
That the
jury doesn't know, but on the show it clearly shows. Now everybody focuses on Mrs. Robbie's home getting broken into, right? And
I don't know. I don't know how much that was. That was talked about in the courtroom. My thing about that is Dre. The only thing I remember about that is Dre desperately pleading to not come back to St. Louis because he was afraid to. And I don't think.
I'm trying to say something else.
Look, hold on one second. Hold on. I got somebody on the thing. Hold on one second. Let me see who this is. Because I have other calls coming in and I want to let them get a chance to speak. Hold on. Well, that person went away. Hold on. Okay, let me get you back. Hold on. Okay. All right. You still there?
I'm still here.
Okay, go ahead.
Listen, again, I want to make it clear. I'm not defending Tim. I'm just throwing some things out. The one thing that I want to say that the jury wouldn't know, that people who watch the show would see, a lot of people focus on the robbery that Miss Robbie had, but a lot of people don't talk about that second robbery. Andre was already deceased by this time. Remember when the family went away to Florida? They went on that family vacation.
Well, I think you know what? I don't even think they need that. Hold on one second. Hold on. Let me see. Hello. caller or
Why didn't something was done when they found out that he was scared? When Andre was scared.
what?
When he was texting and this Rob.
Anything else you want to say?
That's it. Thank you. Here.
Okay, bye-bye. Okay, guys. Well, as you can see, oh, is the volume back? Yeah, well, certain times, I've learned how to use my button. And if certain things I don't want to be said, I will use the button. I will press the button. All right. I lost the call. I hope she'll call back. I tried to click in the other one and then hers dropped. And I put the link up. Out of almost 1,500 people, nobody has anything they want to say. I know people are giving an opinion. They can give opinions. I'm not going hard, Courtney Marie. I'm not going hard, honey. I'm giving my opinion. My opinion is that as a juror, there's going to be jurors that say he lied to his attorney when asked asked if he was in St. Louis. He said he was in California at the time, and he lied. And I will press the button. And I will press the button because ain't nobody gonna get on there and talk crazy and talk about stuff that's totally irrelevant. Okay? It's just the way it is. I hate when two people talk at one time. I hate when three people talk at one time too, Nala girl. Child, you just don't know. It gets going. And when you have 2 or 3 people on the call, you're trying to get everybody and include everybody. It can get a little hectic, but that's why I use the button and you guys can't hear. Yes, honey. I'm not being hard. No, I know I'm not. I'm very caller friendly around here. Very caller friendly. And you can also hit the link. My opinion is guilty of all charges. Okay, that's your opinion. And everyone has a right to their opinion. Hello, everyone that's in the chat and in the bushes. All right, so what we were saying is that the jury has gone home. Let me see. As you can see, just then, the jury, we were just told the jury for Tim Norman's trial is going home for the night, and deliberations will continue at 8:45 a.m. tomorrow morning. Okay? They're through deliberating for the day. They could not all come to a conclusion, all 12 of them, of either guilty or not guilty. But I'm telling you, just my opinion, something those Satan is not happy right now. Let's make sure he stays that way. Travell lies so he can eat in prison. I can't believe Tim took the stand. Yeah, I think that's what doing. He really impeached. He was impeached on the witness stand, if you ask me, because he lied. He said, my thing is, you said you were not in St. Louis at the time, but you were, and the flight records clearly show that. And those jurors are not going to take kindly to that. Now that's what I'm thinking. You all might think something else. Hold on a second. You all might believe something else, and that is your right. But I think the jury will find him guilty after a long deliberation, thoughtful deliberation. I believe they will come up with the right decision. Let me see here. Is Tim guilty? Is Tim guilty? There you go. There's a poll for you. There is a poll. Hello, Boots. How you doing? This is PP's platform. Her okay. Tim thinks he got it in the bag. I mean, he thinks that script that he wrote another script over these last couple of years while he's been waiting for trial. He has written another script. He has totally recreated the scene. You remember how Dallas, when JR, or was it Bobby, when Bobby Ewing died? You remember, I know I'm telling my age, but remember Dallas when Bobby Ewing died? And they woke up and Pamela, it was all a dream. It was an illusion. They wrote an entire season. They rewrote it because the contract negotiations, they fixed it and brought Bobby back. So Tim has written an entirely new script to replace the real script. He wrote another script. I'm the good uncle. I wanted to be a father to my brother's son, although I called his mom a piece of shit. We have that in writing. He texted. He texted those words, not. Did he not? Did he not text those words? What's the number one? What's the number? I want to call it. Oh, I didn't put the number up here. Hold on. There you go, right here. Call in. Call in and express yourself. Call the Tim Norman trial hotline and express yourself. Okay, we will keep it cute when you call in. We will keep it. And again, there you go. But there's the number 501-542-2514. So call us if you have something you want to say. If not, they have sent the jury home for the day. I've reported on everything that I know that happened today, other than who looked like what clothes they had on, who smiled, who didn't. It really doesn't matter. I just want me a guilty verdict. Okay. Oh, we got a call coming in. Hold on, y'all. Hello, Mr. Rollins. How are you?
Good. You know what? I'm just so amazed that that Bruce testified, and the guy Calvin, the preacher Calvin, he testified. And did Mr. Bussey, did he testify, or he was just hanging out?
I don't recall Mr. Bussey being called to the stand.
Okay.
I haven't read that he testified.
Yeah, I just remember him, doing all those business. He was the business accountant with Miss Robbie and all them and everything. And I'm ready for the guilty verdict and everything. But Phylly, I really hope you can interview Bruce and Chloe and all them, because the Calvins, because I would just love just to hear what they really honestly got to really say after all of this.
Well, I don't know if they'll come to my platform, but maybe someone will get an interview with them, long as their interview gets out there. They're welcome to come over here to Eat with Philly Phil talk show and more. Bruce,
right.
Chloe.
Right. Yeah, because
Calvin,
those I mean, from day one, from the time of you carrying on with the commentary, I just remember putting in the comments, where's Bruce, where's Chloe, where's Ike? I mean, the people that we saw on the show, like, all those 6 or 7 years that they were on their own show, everything, I know Oprah, she's not going to say much, but, say anything at all. But, it's kind of like, they were on that network,
Yes.
And the one thing that really just, when I heard that boy was taking the stand, I'm just like, nothing you can really say that will get you out of this. You're never going to see the light of day. Ever,
Is that what you think?
And yeah, that's what I believe. I'm talking about as far as Mr. Tim Norman.
right.
He's not going to see the light of day. I mean, because there's no way he can get out of this. And it's just all this could have been prevented had he just not did what he's orchestrating and stuff. I mean, Tarek and Travell have already testified that they got paid from him. So there's no way. I mean, when I heard that they had an all-white jury, I just said, yeah, they'll figure this out. Like, okay, we're gonna make sure he's gonna be guilty on this. Like,
well, I would think even it doesn't matter what the jury makeup is, because based on the evidence, if those jurors go by the evidence, they're gonna come up for a decision that's in Dre's behalf, on his behalf, and his family. That's just my personal belief, because the evidence is there.
Yeah, the evidence is right there. And the key thing was, like I said, with the people that were involved that got paid, that's just like it's a no-brainer. So for him to get up on the stand, like how you say he's a good actor, he gonna get a Grammy for this one.
Yeah. Well, there's no African Americans. There's an Indian and an Asian on there. But Dre, they know about those text messages. Dre was afraid of Tim. They know about all the text messages there is. And that jury, I'm sorry, I just cannot believe that they will not say, listen, he was afraid of him. He cried out. He made a calculated decision to come back to St. Louis when he should not have come back, being afraid of that man. And I believe they're going to do the right thing.
And one more thing for me, I'm gonna let you go. Get off. I was a life insurance agent, and when it comes to doing insurance, you could not do, the company I worked for, you could not do applications over the telephone. You had to be in person, no excuses. You could not do it over the telephone.
But Wally was a crooked agent, though. He was just trying to make that money.
Yeah. And there are some people that do it over the telephone. You are not by law. That you're not being compliant. Because the company, like I said, well, the one I work for, they said it has to be in person, or if you do it on a video chat and everything, it has to be that person.
Let me ask you this: are you still required as a licensed agent? Are you still required to take continuing education hours?
Oh yes. You have to do anti-money laundering,
ethics, and stuff like that.
CEs.
Yeah, the CE.
You have to do that.
Well, at a certain point, and it ended in 96 here in Arkansas, you become licensed. Before then, once you were licensed, after 10 years, you didn't have to take any more continuing education. So I fall in that category. I've been licensed since 96. So, but I believe people still need to keep up with what the new changes and things like that. You know what I'm saying?
And you know what the big kicker was when he said, act like he's already on the telephone. See, that's another one. Like, okay, look, you going down, dude. Like, because I had always had this belief that I believe Andre didn't know he, his uncle had took life insurance out on him. I just always had that belief. And then when I see that, I said, yeah, that was the eye opener and the answer. My aunt says like this: when you're looking for answers, God will drop it in your lap. And boom, there it was right there.
You cannot make me believe. Yeah.
Agent.
You cannot make me believe. Yes, you cannot make me believe that Dre knew Tim had $450,000 of insurance on him. He would have been like, he didn't like Tim like that. Why would he want Tim to have $450,000? He knew Tim was looking for him. He said it. He was afraid.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it's the sad part about it is what just bothers me. I did have to go back to what Ricky Smiley said, because he spoke about it. He said, look, I'm gonna be on the victim's family side, the Andre's side of the family, because listen, I don't care if he's my family or not. I'm sitting with them,
And from my understanding, the families are getting along. So they don't have to hold hands, but there's no animosity there. So they didn't. The family members didn't do this. Tim did it, and that's just facts. Right. Tim did this. The prosecutors have in black and white on these federal papers that Tim orchestrated. He wrote this script.
Yeah. And the script is now going to put him in jail for the rest of his life.
I guess I don't know what type of an ending he wrote. What do you think? Do you think his ending said that it would end with the The orchestrator going to prison for the rest of his natural born life, possibly, allegedly.
I guess allegedly. I don't know. I mean, hey.
The prosecutor said that he wrote this. The prosecutor said that he constructed all of this. Angie Dennis. I'm just reading her words and repeating her words. So can't come from me on that.
Yeah, because it just amazes me how I don't know if I can make a comment on this though, but I've commented this. Being reported by everyone, and I allegedly I don't agree with what this robbery is.
But yeah, somebody say the end. I don't know how he ended his script when he wrote it up. I don't know, but we know how it's ending. Hey, it is what it is. Okay.
Yeah.
But the prosecutor said that he just wanted to appear as this great, rich, wealthy man and a loving father, doting father and uncle, but he was none of those things. Do you all remember the scene when Charles and Andre runs over to Janae's house crying, and Charles there was so frazzled they couldn't even get the words out. Dre was so upset he started stuttering. He was just like, he said, I don't even do nothing to him. He said, I don't even do nothing to him.
Look, Charles was more traumatized. He was just at pieces and everything. And and Andre, he was just, he's just like, come on, man, my own uncle treat me like this. I'm trying to better my life and get back on my own 2 feet, and I got to come back to more animosity. And, I left this to Texas, like, why did I have to still face this? So, I'm going to be honest with you. When it comes to those TV shows and stuff, because when Miss Robbie fired him, I just said, no, that's not going to happen, because when it comes to a TV show, they have the power to say, hey, bring him back, we're going to bring him back in, and we're going to bring her back in, even though you fired him and all that kind of stuff. No, we need them for the show.
Well, I think she fired him from like in that part of the restaurant because she had several and he went and worked at another. But anyway, she specifically stated, she told him, you don't act like you acting like you still in prison. You don't pop your family. She straight up told him, you don't pop your family. Well, he had his family popped.
Yeah.
According to testimony.
I knew those producers were like, okay, look, she fired him, but that's not gonna happen. We're gonna still keep him on and all that kind of stuff. Because I've seen that on a lot of reality shows where they fire people. The boss of that company, of that, who they're filming about, they say, okay, we'll just bring them back. There's a tattoo reality show, Black Ink. They fired the major person, Caesar Manuel. But I said they'll bring him back. They want to keep those ratings going.
I love Caesar. I like Black Ink. Mm-hmm. I think
I said, I don't believe what they're, they probably put on a punishment a little bit, but they'll bring them back on the new season, because they're not going to just, to me, they're not going to just stop that show, because I'm just going to be honest, but when I see African American shows now, all you see is cussing fights, folks against each other. And a lot of those people, although they sign up for those reality shows, they want to get all upset because, the white man is making us look bad and all that kind of stuff. You signed up for it, because they knew you were going to cut up. They interviewed you before they create a show to put out there to the world. Because they already know, hey, okay, she's ghetto, she's going to cut up, she's going to fuss, he's going to start drama, we're going to start drama between them. So they know how to get the, they know who to put out there. It's just, my thing is, don't sell your soul out there for it and then get mad when you're looking bad on TV, because when people edit, when they start, the video editors start editing those shows,
right?
The stuff that we have not seen, there's a lot of unreleased stuff we have not seen from Sweetie Pie that we would never see unless they put it out there.
Yeah, I have often said that scene when Dre was down on that ground. He said, Tim pushed me. I know there's the actual footage of Tim actually pushing him. I don't want to see the after part where he's just laying on the ground. I want to see where he straight up pushed him. And I heard there was footage allegedly of him actually punching him when they went running to Janae's house that night. But you know, I don't know. I don't know who owns it or why it may never come out. But yes, Nala girl, the families, there's no animosity with the families. You know that they're getting along. You know they're getting along well. I heard they took pictures together and everything. So you know, like I say, Tim did this. The family members didn't do it. Tim did it. But you know, when it's all said and done, you know, there's still family. Some family, you know, you want to stick with. Some family you can just cut off and say, I never ever want to see you again. But it is what it is. People do what they want to do.
Yeah. You know, the last thing is we pray that they will reconcile, heal, and go on with the rest of life and be happy. You know, that's my prayer for both sides of the family, that they hey, you know, don't have that anger and all that kind of stuff. You know, look, you're gonna have your season now. You know, but when you come out of that season, you want to come out, you know, healed and restored and everything. You know, they say you don't get over it, you get through it. So we ask God to give you the strength to get through it and stuff and through this. And
everyone has a season. There's a season for everything. You're absolutely right. Everybody's gonna go through a little something, but it's how you go through it and how you gonna act with it. And I always say, whatever God put you through, He gonna bring you through. Just be patient, okay?
Right. I say one more thing. I love my little Loretta. She's so awesome. And,
absolutely.
When she hears this, I love you, Miss Loretta. God bless you.
She's listening.
The word.
She is listening. She sent me some messages to put out today. She's taking care of business. She's taking care of family business. Family for her does come first. Okay.
Yeah. Y'all leave Miss Loretta alone. She just tells the truth. Y'all don't like it. Just, you know, hey, she tells the truth.
Miss Loretta ain't studying them, honey. Miss Loretta is prayed up and covered. She ain't studying what nobody say about her. Period.
I'm still laughing about this.
Just like me. I'm not either.
Get the cross on. Every time I hear the cross, I think about her. So.
I know that's right. Miss Loretta's something else, honey.
Well, take care. Phylly, keep on doing what you're doing. We love your channel. God bless.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
All right.
Let me see. We got another caller here.
Yes. I wanted to know, was it ever explained when Terica or Travell was on the stand, did they explain how they got each other's phone number?
I believe, and let me say shout out to T. Taylor for becoming a new member. Thank you. I believe in reading the documents, it was stated that Tim told Terica to go and buy the burner phone from Walgreens. And then I believe he gave Travell, I believe now, if I'm not right, somebody correct me, because I know you guys have heard things from all over and I wasn't actually in there. But I believe Tim gave that phone to somebody to give to Travell.
Okay.
Because he definitely had a burner phone.
Did they ever explain it on the stand?
Wait, did they
on
ever?
The witness stand?
You know what? I don't know everything that was totally said on the stand. So I'm not going to make up something. So I'm not sure about that, ma'am. But I will know. I will have the entire transcript. Ma'am?
Yeah, I'm sure that will be a link to, did Terica and Travell knew each other at all, ever?
No. Terica, allegedly, they didn't know. No, she didn't know. Travell testified in his plea agreements. He didn't know Terica at the time. He didn't even know Andre. He had to stop Andre and ask him, you know, do you have any marijuana? Because he wasn't for sure that was even him. So how could he have gone to Disneyland or Six Flags with him as a little boy or whatever? You know, Tim made up that story. I don't believe that.
Exactly. Because two people just can't come up with a plan to meet this young fella and did what they did unless there was a leader.
They say lighten up and let
they got their instructions from.
Yes, ma'am. They say lighten up and let people finish theirs. So before I interrupt, I'm not interrupting. I'm answering questions. But okay, I'll take that under advisement, ma'am. Go ahead, ma'am. You finish. I'm sorry.
I appreciate your taking the time to answer. but I just want to see justice for Andre
Me
and
too.
his family.
Me too. And I am passionate about it because I've been working on it for over 2 years. So yes, Linda, I'm passionate.
Yeah.
So don't charge it to my mind and not my heart, honey. I don't mean to be rude.
Well, you have a lovely evening and keep doing what you're doing and letting us know what's going on behind the scenes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Kim.
Bye-bye. Hello, caller. How are you? Hello?
Hi, is this Joyce Newman?
Hi, how are you doing? What would you like to say, ma'am? What you think about the case so far?
Well, my thoughts about the case as far as that, I stand with you 100%. Good job. And I've been sticking with you. There's no need to jump ship because you were not there, but you've been covering everything, I think, wonderfully. And I think that you're always on point with everything.
Right. And I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry, but I'm glad we have people there because we need those other YouTubers in there to tell us what people are looking like and how they're, what they're wearing and stuff like that. I couldn't go. No,
but
honey.
You give us the verbal details and they just give us the picture. They paint it and then you come back and you bring us, I think, the most important thing, which are the facts. I'm like you. What they're wearing, all of that is interesting. People do want to know that. But when you give us the facts, I think that means more than, as you said, they both play a part. Them being there, then you not being there. And I think each of you are both vital to.
Oh, what do you think about the case and how it's going overall? Do you think the jury is going to find him guilty or not guilty?
I do personally believe that the jury is going to find him guilty. I think a lot of people may get a little disencouraged because they did not reach a verdict today, and they're going to sleep on it. But I think that doesn't mean anything. We can't lose track, like you say, of all the information, all the detailed information that they have in front of them in black and white. It's one thing when you hear it. It's another thing when you look at it, when you have everything in front of you and you're reading it and you're going over it. And I think that if they go by the law, you can't go on emotions. I've done several trials, and I've been elected the foreman several times, and then I worked in the system at times. So I'm affiliated with it. I think that if they go based on what the letter of the law says, I think this is a hands down victory and justice, definitely for Dre and his family, especially his mother. My heart goes out to her. So I think that everything is going to fall into place. Now you have to look at the Kaylee Anthony girl out in Florida. Everybody thought for sure that was definitely going to be justice for that little girl, Kaylee, and it did not go that way.
Right.
Because when you look at the law and see, you got to look at it through the eyes of the jurors, the people who are going to interpret. They're going to look at it and they're going to look at it from their eyes. And I think a lot of times when they start to get emotional and when they look at it and try to make sense of this, I don't think that you can make sense of this. I think you have to look at it just for what it is. It's plain and simple. It is what it is. But I hope they don't get hung up on, okay, why did he do it? Like, we know there's the insurance, but he did not collect the money. So, like, why did he do it? I think that they have to stay on point and look at the preponderance of evidence that they have on him. And just based on that alone, that is so heavy. That is so heavy. It's really heavy.
Well,
so I really don't see, I concur. I'm with you. I think that justice is going to be served for Andre. Yeah. I really do.
I think when it's all said and done, yes. Mm-hmm. I think when it's all said and done, the jury will make the right decision because they already know he's lied. And Travell has stated he did not know Dre, although Tim wants to pretend like they used to run around together as little boys. No, Travell stated he didn't know him. Travell stated that he did what Tim told No Limit Chris to tell him to do. No Limit Chris pled. No Limit Chris, listen, guys, hold up. And you have to, and the jury's gonna say, why would that Chris guy plead the fifth to every question? Why couldn't he just answer it and say yes or no? He pled the fifth because he knew he would incriminate himself and say, yes, I told Travell that Tim wanted him to execute his nephew. And that's facts.
And Phylly, Phil,
Yes,
you are
ma'am.
on the money, honey.
I know.
I'm betting on you. Hey, to bet on you, you can't lose because that's the smoking gun. That is exactly why he pled the fifth. He pled the fifth to keep from, it's like when you tell the lie, you got to keep that lie just for what it is. You got to keep it. Because like you said about the truth stands on its own.
And it
the
don't
truth
need no
is
help.
exactly what it is. It's not an opinion. The truth is simply what it, when it says God is love, God is love. That's just it. The truth is the truth. And he definitely pled the fifth because he did not want to incriminate himself. And I also think he also pled the fifth is because, you know what? He didn't want to say Tim, and he didn't want to say, I think, the other ones. And I think that there's a reason why. I think that there's more, and it could just be little things, but there's more to this, him pleading the fifth, than just what we think. I think that
he was in on it.
Mhm.
He took pictures. He
Yes.
was in on it. And Travell said he looked up to Tim right. And that's another thing. He looked up to Tim so he would do what Tim asked him to do because he revered
There
Tim.
you go.
Yes, I'm telling you, that's another reason. And the jury, they're going to remember this. They will remember this, okay?
Oh, yes, they're definitely going to remember it. And then who's to say that what kind of assistance
Thank you,
he has
She-Girl.
not received over the years from that particular, family. They were friends, they were buddies, and oftentimes as friends, we help one another. We do things for one another. We loan each other's money, we do things for one another. And I also think that the main thing, one of the other main reasons why he did not is because he didn't want to burn any bridges.
Mm-hmm.
He did not want to burn any bridges because now Ken may be locked up, but the other ones, just follow me, the other ones are free. So you may need something down the road.
Well,
you may fall on hard times and you may need something. So it's almost like also, because you got to think like the minds of who we're talking about now. We have to try to sometimes think how they think, not how we would think. We have to think how they would be thinking. So I think he's also thinking, I better not burn any bridges. Tim is locked up.
When you say who's free,
need something.
Okay, when you say who's free, the only one free is Wally. Who else are you talking about?
I'm talking about the one who pled the fifth.
Chris. Well, he has other things that he's awaiting trial for, but I understand what you're saying. Can you hold on 1 second? I have someone that's hit the panel. Hello, Courtney. How are you?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Philly Phil.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Okay. So I just wanted to say that I had left that message earlier and I didn't mean any disrespect to you or anything.
I didn't get a message from you.
Oh, no. When I was asking, you had another caller call in and I was saying to let her talk.
Oh, I don't even recall, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. No, that's fine. I just wanted to tell, because you said my name, so I just wanted to tell you that I didn't mean any disrespect to you or your channel. I appreciate all the hard work that you put in. I feel like for most of us that watch the show and have been following this case, we're emotional and we want justice for Andre, and we're just on the cusp of that. So I'm hoping that the jury does come back and find him guilty. I feel like the prosecution didn't do a slam dunk job like I was hoping that they would, but I do feel like they did present good evidence, And I'm hoping and praying that the jury comes back and gives that guilty verdict. So I'm just going to pray for the Griggs family today and hope that tomorrow we get that verdict, because we know that Tim did it. But, you know, proving it in court is a different situation. I hope that the prosecution did do that. I agree with what you were saying. You said that, you know, Tim wasn't in town. He said he wasn't in town, but we know that he was. We got the proof of that. I hope they can see that. I hope they can connect the dots, and hopefully we get that guilty verdict. So that's all I wanted to say. I hope that everybody, if you have time, please say a prayer for the Griggs family, and hopefully tomorrow we get that verdict.
Praying that we do. Well, thank you, Courtney.
Yes.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, Phil, for all the work you've been doing. I truly appreciate it. I appreciate all you YouTubers that have been keeping us in the loop. This has not been on TV. This has not been in the media. So what we can get, we get on YouTube. So I appreciate all the hard work and all the time that you put in. So thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yes, I told you guys there is, whew, I've been saying a long time, everybody named Mama reporting on Sweetie Pies. Maybe not all initially, but baby, right now there's a Sweetie Pie trial coverage station on every corner, just like a liquor store.
Yes, it is everywhere. Yes.
Everybody named Mama is Sweetie Pie reporter, okay? So you can get the news. You should not have no excuse about not knowing what's going on with this case, okay? Period. But just remember, we want justice for Dre. Justice for Dre.
Yes.
If you're really gonna, you want justice for Dre. That's what it all boils down to. Because someone lost their life that had not done anything to anybody. Someone was set up and executed. So it should be about justice for Dre and nothing else. It shouldn't be about nothing else rambling around. It should be about justice for Dre.
And you're correct. That should be the focal point, is getting justice for this young man that did not deserve. He did not deserve this at all. Bringing up his past is irrelevant. Anything in the pictures, all of that is totally irrelevant. It has nothing to do with him losing his life in the way that it happened. It was completely orchestrated. And I agree, it was just a script. It's just like, you know, writing a play, you know, and you're picking out your characters and who's going to do this and who's going to play this part and who's going to do this. And I think that he thought he was very smart, is that when it's almost like you're going to throw a rock and hide your hand, you know, you're throwing all these rocks. But you're hiding your hand,
right?
Because it's like he was thinking, well, nobody's going to be able to say that I said to them, go and take this person off the earth.
Right.
And let's go eliminate this person. So I agree with you. I wonder, really, I really do wonder just when he started to put this into play. I mean, just really, when did he start to sit down and just come up with this? I mean, I'm just curious about, when did he sit down? You know, because you got to be
in 2014 when he started getting the fake and phony insurance policy. Devon, thank you. Now I had read, you know what? I'm just so into. I already knew that I had seen that the jury did not know that he pled the fifth, but you know what? The jury should know. I wish they could have brought that out. But yes, they don't know that no limit. Not white boy. No Limit Chris is his name on the yard in the prison. Okay, No Limit, because that deals with Tim's No Limit record label. No Limit Chris. They do not know that he pled the fifth. Oh, but they should know. They should know. They should know. They should know. But then it would be a mistrial, I'm sure.
Not knowing that, they still have enough to make a decision on who orchestrated this.
And thank you for the super chat. Yes, ma'am. You're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. But they know who orchestrated it. It was Tim.
Yeah.
He wrote the script.
Exactly. Nobody but him. He's the orchestrator. He just, you know, like I said, he was throwing a rock and just hiding his hand. That's what he thought. But, you know, I surely like to think that he's not the smartest person in that room. And I think that's what he was betting on, him being the smartest person. Now, he may have been the smartest out of who he was dealing with. No doubt, he was the smartest out of them.
On that day, ma'am, he wasn't smarter than a fifth grader. He was not smarter than a fifth grader on that day, okay? But anyway.
Exactly. But dealing with, you know, the stripper and Treville, he was the smartest of them two. Now, he was the smartest of them two. But he can't outsmart everyone else. And you can't outsmart the truth. The truth, like you said, it stands on its own. You don't have to prop it up. You don't have to, you know, help it up. It is just what it is.
Let me tell you what the jury needs to do. This is what the jury gonna have to do.
You can put that on flick, and I'll say allegedly again. But all you got to do is look around you, open your eyes. You'll be able to see. Take the veil off your eyes. Just wake up and smell the coffee. And don't believe so much about what people tell you that happened. Extract the fat from the lean, eat the meat and spit out the bones, and you will be able to see the person that's really telling you what they didn't do are the ones that really did it.
Okay, now y'all heard that, and I believe the jury is going to extract that fat and get the right verdict. Okay, that's just my personal belief.
I agree with you.
I want to play this again for the people that may not have seen this earlier. Let me try and find it.
Okay.
Well, I may not be able to find it, guys. Okay, here it is. This is Dre singing. This is Dre singing. Dre had a nice voice. And Tim,
okay, I feel like, hear that.
Hold on, yeah. So, and I feel like Tim was a little jealous. Okay, that's just my opinion.
Well, the Bible says who can stand before
It was supposed to go.
I think that's the whole thing.
Well, technical difficulties. Y'all, hold up. Oh, my system is messing up, guys. My bad. Don't look like I'm going to be able to play that after all for the audience. Where'd it go?
They say I'm crazy, 'cause you don't think I know what you've done. When you call me baby, I know I'm not the only one. He knows he's not the only one. He knows he's not the only one. The only one. Good. Noah. Cause she been a thought she was little. I love that thought. She been a thought she was little. Love that thought. She been a thought she was little. I love that thought. I said that da 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 da. She been a thought she was little. I love that thought. She been a thought she was little. I love that thought. She been a thought she was little. I say ba da ba ba ba.
And there you have it. That was Charles and Dre having a good time. I agree with Sean. I think he's guilty. All right, guys. I'm going to get ready to get out of here. I'm sure there'll be more shows on later on tonight where you can get your sweetie pie fix on, but we are on verdict watch over here. And if it falls while I'm at work, just let me know one way or the other. But I think I already know what it'll be. Guilty as charged. Okay, guys. Somebody else trying to call. Let me see. What happened to the... Hello? Well, they not saying nothing. All right, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. Thank y'all for hanging out with me, all 1,500 of you. Look, over here we have some issues going on. Bullying. Andre was bullied. Enough is enough. Please go to local legal goddess of order channel and sign her petition. Enough is enough. It's in the chat. I'm sure the link is in there, and it's on her community wall. All right, and hit that subscribe button when you go over there. Okay, show us some love. You might like her content. Also, I have a petition. It's my choice. Stop the bullying of PP. I'm being bullied. Make sure you sign that petition. I appreciate it, guys. And I have some other channels I want you to check out if you don't mind. Only if you want to. Unspoken Purpose, Too Strong for Most, and Boy Stop Capping. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. You guys have a wonderful night. Thank you for hanging out with me and allowing me to bring you the latest on the Sweetie Pie saga with Tim Norman. This is all about Dre. It's Dre Day. Justice for Dre. See y'all later.